So to do an EE in English B, you have to be really interested in what we call the target culture. So for English B, we talk about the target language, which is obviously English, and the target culture are the cultures where English is spoken. So that could be the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, Singapore, even India. So you're looking at places where English is a mother tongue or a main language, and you're interested in some aspect of that place's culture or language, their unique use of English, or perhaps even their literature. So in English B, you have 3 categories that you can choose from, and to break them down, one is really the language culture. So there's some aspect of the language that you're really interested in, and it has to be very specific to that culture. So, for example, racism is not a great topic, but for example, from my country, racism in the speeches of Pauline Hanson would be a good topic because she's someone from our political culture, and the way that she uses racist language is specific to Australian English and the culture of Australia. Then we have a cultural artifact, which is where you might look at a film and what that film reveals about that specific culture. So you might look at, for example, a movie that I've watched recently is an older movie. It's called Pride, and it's about both the miners' strike and the fight for LGBTQ rights in the UK. So that's a very specific relationship that only happened in the United Kingdom. So this is not just about workers' rights, and it's not just about the LGBTQ community. It's about that community within the context of the UK at a certain point in time. And so you could look at that as a cultural artifact and how that might relate to aspects of language. Or you could look at a novel, and this is the one that gets a lot broader because you don't have to have that very strong tie to the target culture, but it must be a novel that you have read in English, that was originally written in English, so there's your connection to the target culture. And it also can't be a double dip, so it cannot be a novel that you have also read in translation for any of your mother tongue classes. So artifacts could be works of art. You could even have a speech. So for example, a very famous speech like Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream. It could be a song. So some people are really fascinated by rap music, but you can only look at rap music in what it reveals about a specific culture. So when you're thinking about your artifact, it has to be strongly located in a very specific English culture. So it can't be something that is universal to every language and universal to every culture. So you just have to be really careful and talk to your teacher. It could be any film, even documentary, as long as it relates very specifically to that culture only and is to some extent exclusive. I think for some students, especially if they are language B students, that means that English can be hard for them. So they think that an English B essay will be evaluated on the language. And it is, but no more than any other EE that you write. So if, for example, you did an EE in one of the sciences, your language wouldn't be more evaluated in English B than it would be in that science essay. So it's a research essay just like every other EE. So I would say don't be afraid that you don't have good enough English to do it. It's probably one of your next best choices after your mother tongue. So if you're not doing your mother tongue as an EE, I think English B can be a really solid choice for you if you're a language learner. And it's also not easier than any other EE. So I think students sometimes make their friends feel bad. If you're doing an EE in English B, that's so easy. It's not. It's the same criteria, the same task as any other EE. So I think that can be a misunderstanding that students have. One of the funny ones that I sometimes get is that students think that if English is their A language, it would be easy for them to take a BEE. You can't. So if you're doing English A, you cannot write an EE in English B. You might, although it would be very challenging, do an EE in whichever language is your B language. Although I should make you aware that you would have to write your reflections in that language as well. So it's a pretty challenging task. But if English is your A language, you cannot do an English BEE. Start early. Talk to your supervisor early. I sometimes find with students who take English B, they've decided that they want to do an English BEE, but often they don't have a very clear idea of what topic they want to do. And so they put off talking to their supervisor because they feel that they have to come to their supervisor with a topic. If you're in that situation, it's much better to come talk to your supervisor and ask them for some ideas, and then they might go away and say, okay, you said you were interested in a cultural artifact. Well, how about you have a look at these 3 things? Or you said you were more interested in looking at a novel. Have a look at these 3 books. They might be able to help you narrow down your choice. So don't delay meeting your supervisor. They might be able to help you come up with a topic that suits your language level.